On Halloween night, 1977, America gathered around for a live TV event that shocked a nation. What happened was real. What you are about to see is the recently discovered master tape of what went to air that night. Late Night with the Devil.
Welcome to the Biscuits and Blurays podcast, where we watch Blu-rays and the Biscuits host a television talk show late at night.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
I'm your host, James, joined by co-host Jade.
Hi.
Hello. This is a surprise.
It really is.
This is a big surprise. It should be solo. It's still going to be solo. We're going to
Oh,
get it.
I was hoping you was going to forget.
How can I forget? I've been putting it off for so long. But let me take the listeners through our emotional journey this week. Because at the start of the week, it was Ghostbusters.
Busting makes me feel good.
It made us feel very good. And at the start of the week, we said, okay, we'll probably see Ghostbusters twice this week.
All weekend.
Literally. We got there. It's not worked out that way.
It hasn't, unfortunately.
If you've tuned into the podcast, you'll know our feelings on it. However, a little thing happened.
Yes, so we went to see, was it last week or the week before? Mm-hmm. We went to see a little film called Lisa Frankenstein.
Which is very good, by the way. You should definitely check that out.
Yeah, instant cult classic, absolutely. And before the movie started, we got some movie trailers.
Of course, you get the trailers. It's the bit that everyone loves.
Oh, the trailers.
The trailers. I love the trailers, especially chosen for this film, actually.
Oh, cringe. And we get the one for Immaculate, Imaginary in there, wasn't there? The First Omen, all the usual spew that we kind of get from these studios.
That's how I describe it as well, spew.
And then all of a sudden, we get this fucking banger that just came out of nowhere.
I think both of us sat up and were like, yeah, we should definitely check that out. And then we have. And we checked it out yesterday. Well, essentially, we watched Ghostbusters, we recorded the podcast, and that came out. Mm-hmm. Then the next day, we went to see this.
And I really pushed it, because I think you initially, because this is going to Shudder next month, was thinking, oh, we might be able to wait.
Mm-hmm. I don't imagine we're going to be waiting long. But I'm glad you pushed us to see it. We're going to talk about it. But we've seen it again today.
Because it's that good.
I don't think either of us have stopped thinking about it.
No.
I know I haven't.
I had nightmares. It was so scary.
You didn't have nightmares. Did you have nightmares?
Not nightmares, but I was like, oh my god, my bag looks really creepy from that side of the room.
Yeah. The film is Late Night with the Devil.
Yes.
Before we talk about the film in general, we should really say you kind of have to see it for yourselves. Is that a fair...
I think people should see it for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't mind us talking about it, then feel free to tune into the rest of the episode. But I want people to see it.
I want people to watch this, even if you don't catch it in cinemas, because it's not going to be there for very long. Mm-hmm. It's dropping on Shudder on April the 19th.
Probably, yeah.
Please check it out if you can.
Because we've had a really great time with it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be one of these films. I think it's going to end up like Skinamarink. There's going to get more and more good word of mouth with it.
I think it's doing it some favours.
Yeah.
Horror is like my favourite genre, but I don't always love everything it puts out because I'm a wuss. I'm a coward, is what I am.
You get so scared.
But the thing is about me, if I find a horror film that, without jump scares that gets under my skin and creeps me out and is well made, I will latch onto that film like a Chalamet on a sandworm, right?
Oh my god.
Right? Which, by the way, okay, quick thing, I could hear Dune next door.
Yeah, I could hear Dune next door as well. I could hear all the Dune buckets next door.
Yeah, oh god, the Dune. Shut up with the Dune buckets. Yeah, so this is your spoiler. I assume we're going to talk about spoilers. It's kind of difficult for us not to.
No, but if you maybe listen to this before you want to check it out, if this hopefully pushes you to maybe check it out,
yeah,
please do so.
We're going to say spoilers ahead, but I think we'll try and keep them at a minimum.
If we can, yeah.
But no promises, guys. Late Night of the Devil, it's been made by people... Well, first of all, you know that Family Guy joke where he goes to the cinema and he can't tell where the studio's adverts end and where the film begins.
Yeah.
What the hell?
This opens with about 20 different fucking logos.
I counted about 500, I think. Genuinely. I've never known a film like it, and I think most of the runtime is that.
It's just logos.
Yeah. The film is called Late Night with the Devil, directed by an Australian pair, some Australian filmmakers. It's an Australian production.
Okay.
That's a vibe for them.
I like it.
So it's directed by Cameron and Colin Cairns, or Kearns.
Okay.
I forget. I don't know how you.
Is it Kearns maybe?
Cairnes. Cairns.
Keep saying it again.
Well, if you're Australian, then it's the Cairns brothers.
Oh my god.
Right. They've made films before, but they're sort of like little independent ones. This one is the same. Mm-hmm. It's kind of boosted by its main talent here.
Yes.
Which he was Polka Dot Man.
He's your favourite.
I love David Dastmalchian, who was in his first film was like Dark Knight. We spoke about him earlier.
Yeah.
His first film was like The Dark Knight, and then he was in Prisoners. He's the weird guy you see in all the movies.
In all the movies. So yeah, it was Polka Dot Man in The Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
He's in Oppenheimer.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Okay, I didn't know that. He's in Dune, first Dune, not in second Dune, unfortunately. That's a shame. I think he's had this partnership with Denis Villeneuve that's kind of pushed him up the ranks a bit.
Okay.
And Suicide Squad, I'd say, was the first time I really saw him front and centre. Mm-hmm. Because he had a fair bit to do in that.
Yeah. He
wasn't the focus.
No, the focus of those films was all centred around Harley Quinn.
Yeah, and Bloodsport, I'd say.
Yeah.
But Polka Dot Man stole the show for me.
For you, yeah.
For me, yeah. Ratcatcher and Polka Dot Man, absolutely. Both of those have a film out this week. That's good news for them, isn't it? Yeah. But this is his first real big lead role where he's top billing.
Yeah. And my God, is he good.
Jesus Christ, he's good.
He's got some very good range, and I don't know why we haven't seen him do more yet. He should be. I want this to be his moment where his career just changes. Right, like a launch pad.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of just he's a good character. He's a very good character actor, and I think he does have the ability to sort of stand out in the background, but he can hold his own.
Yeah.
And this is proof right here.
I agree.
What is the plot of the movie?
So it starts out a little bit like a found footage kind of idea, but It's not the kind of tacky Paranormal Activity stuff that we get with found footage. It's done almost like a master tape. So it starts off with a bit of a documentary telling the bit of let's not say rise and fall as such, but it's kind of the rise of a TV talent. Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it's a late night TV television host.
And before we kind of get that, you get more of an idea as well of where it's set in. So this is all set in the 70s.
Yeah.
So before it kind of goes into the life of this fictional character, this Jack Delroy, who is the talk show host, we get a bit of an idea of what's going on around the time in the 70s.
The 70s, the Vietnam War, Watergate, things like this.
Mm-hmm, yeah, the petrol crisis.
Yeah.
We've got...
the riots in Detroit, probably.
We've got the kind of like the Satanism stuff that was going around. Serial killers. We've got Son of Sam. We've got the Manson murders. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of... It was a bit of a melting pot around that time.
Yeah. I think the film says, like... Because obviously, like, people had televisions in the 60s, but more people had televisions in the 70s.
Yeah.
And what you saw happening in the world, you saw in your living room.
Yeah. All this horrible things is now in your home for you to watch.
Yeah.
And while that's horrible, you've also got the people trying to make things light and bright for you. Your TV host. So it introduces us to Jack. He's a bit of a cool, happy-go-lucky kind of guy,
He's a bit Johnny Carson. Oh, well, he's up against Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson, who doesn't do it anymore. That's fucking stupid. The Tonight Show. The Tonight Show is still a big talk show. Had many hosts throughout the years, like Jay Leno, Conan briefly, and Jimmy Fallon. People would tune in to see his guests, and they would do skits, and they'd do like little game show bits, but it was people talking to celebrities, really.
Yeah, that's exactly what Jack's trying to do. He's trying to go up against Mr. Carson. Just by having this kind of late night TV show called Night Owls.
Yeah. Now, okay, I want you to hold on to that because you brought up some very good point. I love you.
Thank you.
Like, you have so much knowledge. I think it's because you've watched so many documentaries about stuff in the past.
Oh, I'm such a nerd.
You're like the co-host equivalent of Slumdog Millionaire, where you've just sort of picked up this knowledge from here, there, and everywhere, and then you see a film and you bring it to this podcast.
It's literally like all this useless knowledge that's just been sat there for all this time, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
I can use this now.
Whereas me, I'm just like, yeah, film good, Space Jam, yeah. But you're like, oh, I've actually got, like, some of that is based, like, is grounded stuff. So thank you for that.
Yay for me!
Because we've seen this twice. The first time, we fucking absolutely loved it. But the second time we've managed to... You can sit back a bit on a second viewing.
Yeah.
And sort of look a bit more in the background. And that's what I assume you've been doing this viewing.
Easter egging, yes.
Yeah. Happy Easter,
It's
everyone.
the time of our Lord.
It's the time he came back-ish. And he gave chocolate eggs out.
Coming out from his cave.
And he's doing...
Okay, cave.
This TV show isn't really going Jack Delroy's way.
No, he's constantly in competition with Mr. Carson. He never quite gets to the top. He's always just lagging behind that little bit.
Yeah. Carson was good at his job, though. Mm-hmm. So even if you're second to that, that's good.
Yeah.
But you're not getting those Carson ratings. It does go a bit into his personal life, this Jack Delroy, this fictional character.
Yeah, with this little documentary bit we get. It tells you just enough, but... No, it doesn't feed you too hard. No,
essentially what it does is it lets you into the story. It gives you a little goodie bag. It's like, right, there you go, you're going to need these. And then it sends you on your way.
Yeah.
You don't seem... Because this film's an hour, maybe like 80 minutes long. Mm-hmm. It's not a long film. It uses its time very well. Mm-hmm. And I think with that, you still have that sort of in the back of your mind always.
Yeah.
Whereas a film like Dune, I forgot most of that film, genuinely.
I think maybe as well, by the way, it does set it out like a little bit of a documentary at the beginning, with it setting the tone of the era we're living and this is set in. Mm-hmm. And then it gives you the information about the character. It comes across like a believable celebrity.
Yeah.
I think just the aesthetic of this is so good.
It's very good. There's an issue with this film that's caused a bit of controversy, mm-hmm. and that would be of the usage of AI imaging. Mm-hmm. Obviously, recently we've had a lot of stuff with AI, particularly that Willy Wonka experience.
Oh my god.
I just think...
Sorry, it's the unknown.
It's the unknown. I think this uses AI well and sparingly.
Yes.
However, it does still use it. And I know a lot of people are against it. I'm against it. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that?
I can see why people are against it, because it's taking work from not from actors necessarily, but it will do eventually if it continues the way it does. Mm-hmm. But it's taking away from the work from creative people.
Yeah.
And sometimes what can also look like very lazy work, especially as we saw with Willy Wonka.
With the AI, did you notice it here?
I wasn't looking for it. I was kind of immersed in the story, so I was able to gloss over it a little bit more than you did.
Okay, I noticed it straight away. Because it's only used maybe like 3 or 4 times in the film, but the first time you see it, it's like, okay, that's clearly AI. Mm-hmm. It's an issue I can get over, but I can't forget. Because I imagine... It's an independent film. It's had studios, every fucking logo in it. Mm-hmm. So I imagine its use of AI was due to budget restraints.
Yeah.
And if that's gonna make this film a bit more immersive, that wouldn't have the budget of like a Dune or a... What else is out recently? Ghostbusters or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I can see why they have done it. Mm-hmm. But you can just pay an artist to do it. It's I see both sides, but it's glaring.
Okay.
I think it's a shame that it's sort of got lost in that AI argument, because you're missing a really good film if you're boycotting it for that.
I think so too. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be the first film either that does this.
No.
I mean, I think there's going to be a big argument now, in general, within the industry about the use of what's the difference between AI and CGI.
Yeah.
Because they're both technically doing the same thing.
More or less, yeah. And, well, that's neither here nor there. It should be addressed. I thought we should address it.
I agree.
But its tone and its style. It's a very stylish movie.
Oh, it is.
You picked up on costume. You said the costume was very good.
Oh, I love the costume. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And it picks up, again, a lot around the fashion of the time. Some of the characters a bit later on, you can kind of see what they're paying homage to with how they're dressed, which I really like.
Yes. And it's the costumes, you said as well, were a little bit of an Easter egg as well.
Yes, I think they are.
Again, we'll get to it a little bit later on. But yeah, I think as a talk show, would you have watched this?
I don't really watch late night talk shows. Never really have. I always find them a bit cringy.
Yeah, okay. I think...
I've caught like Jonathan Ross and stuff like that at night. You know, when they've just been on.
Or cheeky Graham Norton.
Mainly Graham Norton.
Yeah. Well, he's good.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for Conan O'Brien. I think Conan O'Brien's a role model of mine.
Okay.
I love him. But I see how the evolution of the talk show has changed a little bit. It is more skits now and stuff like that. Or stuff to get stuff trending, you know what I mean. Back then, though, it was trying to get ratings. And this film is set in Sweeps Week, which is a big deal in terms of American television, because it's like the high point of their season. Yeah, and it's where the awards are ultimately going to come from. Then if you're getting awards, you're going to be getting sponsors. You're more likely to stay on air. You're going to be getting viewers as well. Yeah, absolutely. Which is what this more Mr. Delroy is having to do. He's been through a personal tragedy, we find out in the little documentary we get. I think we can address the first 5 minutes of this movie. I think we can tell what the film tells us here. Yeah, it tells us that his wife sadly passes away. Yeah, his wife is his muse, essentially. Yeah. But then his ratings start to dip. But he's still ploughing away and doing his best. But his wife is struck down with cancer. She gets terminal lung cancer, which is very odd because she's never smoked before. I think that is quite clever because people who have never smoked can get lung cancer. Mm-hmm. But setting it in the 70s where science wasn't quite as good as it is now. Yeah. That's a good device. Yeah, I think it is as well. They do reference his hobbies outside of this TV show as well. Yeah, so it comes across that he's part of a kind of a Masonic group almost. A gentleman's group. Yeah, so it's very much it's called the Grove. Mm-hmm. So it's in the middle of the woods. It's all you kind of it's your rich players basically. So it's your Epstein's Island. Your business tycoons. Yeah. Big power play in industry. Millionaires essentially. Yeah. How he's ended up there initially as like a little radio host, I don't know. Yeah. That's what we'll lead into it later. We'll lead into it. Yeah. It tells us already that he's been a part of that, but they're known for kind of rituals and that sort of thing. It's made out to be like a Mason kind of group. Rituals, orgies, the whole 9 yards. Proper cult stuff. Presumably. You know, like when a certain, I'm not going to name him, but a certain 70s television presenter in Great Britain had rumours about him. Mm-hmm. But it was just sort of unspoken. Obviously, we know that now those rumours are true. Mm-hmm. But it was always sort of like brushed off. Yeah. I imagine. Yeah, exactly. I imagine the same thing has happened here. Yeah. But it never dwells on it too much. Mm-hmm. But they do say after this tragedy that he has, Jack Delroy comes back and his programs start to be a bit more controversial. Yeah, a bit more challenging. He'll have controversial guests on. He'll have people quite abusive to him as well, and people fighting and stuff like this. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he actually uses his wife on the TV show. Yeah. When 2 weeks before she passes away, she's got her oxygen mask and everything. So in a way, he's also used her as a way to boost ratings as well before she dies, which is also a little bit. And this is all after he's signed with a big company as well. Mm-hmm. So bear that in mind. Yeah. But this is all centred around this one show, Halloween at midnight. He basically wants to try and get his ratings up there. Since his wife's passing, the show's become more controversial. His ratings have fallen further and further down. His contract's up to expire. Yeah. He needs something to change it all. So this master tape is
is the Halloween episode that was aired.
Yeah, and it was his. It was the last of its kind. Yeah. So anyway, it starts off quite usual because you see it start with an advert and then it goes into the show, and it's very 70s television show where they still do this. They have a band playing him on.
Oh, we love a house band.
Yeah, he'll have an opening monologue. He's got sort of what they're so called, like sidekicks, I guess.
Yeah, he's got like a little sidekick.
They can bounce jokes off and stuff, but the sidekick seems his name
like
is
a little Alex Horn.
A little Alex Horn. Okay, yeah. Andy Richter to a Conan. I love Conan. He'll come up
Evidently.
quite a lot. But yeah, I think it does well to set it up as a real TV show, and it does feel real.
Yeah.
So when he comes out, he does a monologue and stuff. Everyone's dressed up for Halloween, and it has the guests of the show coming on. It's like, we'll be joined by this guy, Christy, woo!
Yeah.
And Carmichael, woo! And then this author of the new book and stuff like this. And then, who was the singer?
Is it Cleo or something like that?
Yeah, Cleo James, that's it, yeah. And it's like, oh, okay.
And she'll sing us out with a jazz number. It's very much set up like a TV show.
Yeah. The guests on this are quite spectacular, though.
Yeah, because that's why they've been invited. Because it's been, I think they've all been picked in order to cause controversy, to get people watching.
It's a Halloween special as well.
Exactly.
So spooky Dukes.
It's all got to be related to the paranormal in some kind of way.
His first guest is a
medium.
A medium, yes. Which, if you believe it, if you don't, whatever, that's fine. But it does it quite well here, in terms of using that as a device to start this show off. Because you are led to believe that this medium is a fake, he's a phony.
I mean, they make kind of a lot of references to him being a bit of a charlatan anyway.
He comes out and he's a bit extravagant.
A bit larger than life, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I'm here. He's like the book from It Takes Two.
Yeah.
And he says, I've got a P. Is there a P? It begins with P. Peterson. Peterman.
Yeah, he's just throwing words out there, hoping that something sticks. Basically,
he gets a few jokes he gets laughs from the crowd and stuff
because he's clearly full of shit.
Absolutely, but he does find two women in the front of the audience, and he makes a connection with those. And he says, "Is there an Edmund you had in your family? He's recently passed away." And this woman really believes it. And at that point, I think, okay, maybe he is.
Yeah, because he says something to do with a childhood toy.
Yeah.
That a relative of hers played with. That would have been something that probably she would only have known about.
Yeah.
So all the audience are like, oh, even Jack himself's like, oh, this could be the real deal.
But then that reading goes well and stuff like that. But then there's another one just before the commercial break.
Yeah, so they're getting ready to cut to the commercial. Christy feels like he's done a good job. They've all his tour dates are announcing at the bottom. They're like, oh, you can see him here, here, and here, and all of a sudden he starts freaking out.
Yeah, he gets a bit of a headache, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He gets a message from the other side.
So he starts getting an uncontrollable message that he needs to.
Yeah, he needs
to get out.
He gets a message from a mini. Anyway, then he sort of passes out. Or no, Jack sends it to a commercial break.
Yeah, so he starts kind of like dry heaving, doesn't he, on the floor?
Yeah, his eyes roll to the back of his head, which isn't his brand of stuff.
No.
So we're going to go to a commercial break. Anytime it went to a commercial break in this, I always found it funny because it always happens at the perfect time. Yeah,
it's always on a bit of a cliffhanger, isn't it, as well?
What it does do as well is that this isn't just the master tape. This is some behind the scenes footage of. It's filmed in a way where it's it's black and white. You're supposed to believe that all these people are talking and stuff. I wish the film was just the master tape.
Yeah, so then you don't have an idea if there is something going off.
Yeah.
You're not quite sure, especially how it plays on later on, if what you're seeing is real or not.
We do get like Jack talking to his producer, saying how the rating's going. Later on, Gus has some concerns that he brings to mind and stuff. Things like that, and interference with Kit. I picked up on this time.
Yeah.
Back on air. Let's go. The next guest is another paranormal.
He's a magician, isn't he? He's like a hypnotist.
Yeah, he comes on, does his little cigar trick with a nice bit of sleight of hand. But now he is a debunker of those paranormal things.
Yeah, so basically he's someone who's a magician, who's probably been a part of the magic circle. He knows all about illusion.
and trickery and things like this. Yeah.
So he's part of a group now that are making it their business to try and find the real deal.
But he feels again like it's all for show, because there are pictures of him outside the Amityville house, which is clearly photoshopped. I don't know whether it's because like that's based on some sort of truth story.
The Amityville house is real.
Yeah. But I don't know whether that is this production of this film going, that's the best we can Photoshop that actor into the picture of the Amityville house, or is it supposed to look bad and this guy is faking it as well? That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, it also as well, they wouldn't be able to have got anywhere near the Amityville house. It's owned by private owners as well now.
Well, there you go. They mentioned that he tried to get to talk to the Warrens and they refused to comment with him and stuff like this.
Right, yeah, refused to go on the investigation with him.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
He comes across very high and mighty, almost like, I'm the best and I know it all.
He's quite sharp. He has a beautiful moustache.
A very sexy stash.
A nice little goatee. He's very, a bit Vincent Price-esque.
Yes.
Which is, I think that's referenced earlier in the film. Yeah, a vibe, absolutely. He comes on, it's next to Christou. Carmichael carries a check around in his pocket. Mm-hmm. And if someone can prove that what they are doing is real... Within unreasonable doubt. Yep. He will then give you $100,000. That is then bumped up to $500,000 because Jack sort of twists his arm a bit. Jack and Carmichael are talking and stuff and saying, and Carmichael's saying, I don't believe anyone who can pretend to do this or this, and then I don't believe anyone who can pretend to talk to the dead. Obviously, Christou's sat right there. Mm-hmm. Christou's taking a turn for the worse.
He's not feeling so well, and also he's offended by this point.
So it's not a good day for him.
No. So he gets up, throws his water in Carmichael's face, and he goes to storm off set. Yeah. Just as he's storming off set, Jack, I think in a move to try and maybe stop him from doing so, says, I think your last reading was for me. Mm-hmm. So straight away, Christou's like, oh shit. Maybe I've actually got something right.
Yeah, because Christou said something about, Minnie. Minnie is a pet name that he gave to his Jack Delroy's his wife.
It's a pet name to his dead wife.
And Christou mentions a single man wearing a wedding ring, that's it.
Yeah.
And Jack says, look, my wife died.
I'm still wearing the ring. Technically, I'm single.
Yeah. And Christou then really... you can hear the sound of this...
Well, the message has been claimed as well.
Yeah.
Beforehand, it hadn't been. No one had claimed it. Mm-hmm. In that moment, as soon as Jack says, I have, this is for me, that's when Christou starts to change, and it's almost as if it's trying to get out.
Yeah. He essentially vomits onto Carmichael.
And then at the camera.
But it's like a bile. It's quite grotesque. Mm-hmm. Before we go further, I do want to say that the 70s was a big time for possession and stuff like this, but this is 77. If we are supposed to believe that this is real, The Exorcist came out in 75. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's an accident.
Yeah.
There are possession stuff, obviously, I find terrifying. I think it's the creepiest thing you can do in a horror film.
Yeah. When done well, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. It's done well in The Exorcist. I think it was done well in Talk to Me. There were new stuff in there. I know you didn't like it, but it was okay. It's really done well here.
Yeah.
But it's done in a sort of real way.
Yeah, because when Paul Christou's kind of retching on the floor and he's saying, this shouldn't be happening, you kind of see all the veins on his neck kind of start popping up. Mm-hmm. I mean, nothing actually... Anything, he doesn't start talking in tongues or anything like that. It's just he's just being sick all this horrible stuff.
Yeah.
And the acting's great. So he looks like he's in physical pain and that there's something happening to his body.
Did you think that Christou was really a medium?
No.
I think he was.
I think he was trying to channel in somewhere. But again, it was taking the piss.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a bit of a theory going on about some of the what we think happens later on in the show, but ultimately you're trying to channel the dead on Halloween. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be messing with things if you don't know what you're doing.
You shouldn't go meddling. I've always said this. Yeah. We shouldn't go meddling.
And that's exactly what Gus says to Jack. You shouldn't go meddling. Mm-hmm. Christou, even though I think he's a liar, because again we find out later because Carmichael also thinks this. He interviews, just on the side, the ladies that Christy apparently had a connection with.
Yeah.
And it turns out they
filled out a questionnaire before
before the show, and one of the producers spoke to them.
Yeah.
So it's likely that information was fed to Christy, which, to be fair, as well, there's also cases of really well-known psychics from around this time doing the same thing.
We still get it these days.
Yeah, where people where information was fed from producers before the show.
Yeah.
So it's quite sad because obviously they think he's actually connected with their dead family member, and no, he hasn't. He's just fed them a load of shit. But in the end, he's actually he's fucked himself up because he's tried channeling and ended up with something that he shouldn't do.
He's off in an ambulance now.
And he gets sent off to his dressing room. We don't find out until later what happens to him.
We'll get to that. His next guest is this author. I forget her name. June. She has written a book about this one case of possession. I forgot what the book was called. Conversations with the Devil. This is about a test subject or a client or a patient.
No, it's a patient of hers, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Called Lily. Goes by Lily.
Yeah.
Lily is the only survivor
of a cult.
Of a satanic cult. Now, this cult has been referenced earlier in the film. Mm-hmm. I picked up on it this time.
Yeah.
She was kept in an asylum. Her behaviour was erratic. We see photos of her on the roof.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny though. Yeah. But she's here. She's on the talk show, and you think.
But before that, we actually get it kind of cuts to film.
Yeah.
We get another little bit of a docu-film by June, telling the kind of bit of a backstory.
Yeah.
To how she's ended up with Lily.
Lily in her care.
So we're kind of shown this kind of footage of like a creepy old house, of this cult up to no good. Mm-hmm. Again, it follows very much the actual activities of cults around that time. I think there's a few pretty famous ones that when they were ousted by the FBI or by the police, that they all killed themselves.
Yeah. They drank the Kool-Aid.
That's the Jonestown one, but there is, I think, one where they all set themselves on fire, which is what they do.
Yeah.
But we learn more about the demon that they were trying to conjure.
Mm-hmm. Lily as well. Well, she comes onto the talk show, but not before we hear a recording of a previous possession.
Yeah.
And that goes about as well as you expect. It sounds... You've seen The Exorcist, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Bring him on the show. Come on down.
Yeah, June comes through the door.
She's
kind
alright.
of a bit tentative, but then she's like, Lily, where are you?
And Lily... You're led to believe that Lily's going to just come out and be like...
a creepy
girl.
Creepy child, yeah.
Absolutely normal. She skips on.
Almost like a teenage girl. She's kind of happy to be in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. She's playing for it a little bit.
Yeah. I thought she was quite unsettling though.
Yeah.
The reason is, it's well played by that actress. She was very... I think this is like her second film. Mm-hmm. Very good performance. As good as does Malchin.
Yeah.
But there are moments of unease, because every now and then, because it's set like a 70s radio, it never really strays from that 16...
Yeah.
The square ratio, I forget which one it is. But then there's also the static. Mm-hmm. And it does that a lot more when Lily's arrives.
In the frame, yeah.
Yeah. And that makes you, okay, I'm uneased now. Mm-hmm. I know it's like tapes from the 70s, that can happen, but like, you're dealing with possession. There's something going on.
Yeah.
She looks at the camera every now and then.
Yeah, she's very aware of where her cameras are. Mm-hmm. And she keeps staring into them. So because she's staring into them and you're supposed to be watching as the live audience, she's looking directly at you.
She was looking at me. Was she looking at you?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Anytime she did it, there's a moment where she's doing it just like at the camera, like the camera's on her, but there's a camera off to the side and Lily turns around to look at it.
Yeah.
I'm on edge there.
Her face isn't doing anything like sinister. She's just staring at it.
Yeah.
And just like zoning out almost. And it's a little bit funny.
It's subtle.
In a creepy way.
Yeah, it's very good. We learned that she can get... what do they call it? They call it a... not demonic possession. A paranormal infestation.
Yeah, spiritual infestation.
Spiritual infestation. But her demon is this Mr. Wiggles?
She calls it Mr. Wriggles.
Mr. Wriggles, yeah.
Well, so basically they believe, because this cult used to worship a demon called Abraxas. That they believe that one of those demons that's a follower of Abraxas, whatever. I didn't know demons had other demons under them, but who knows? Mm-hmm. they reckon that that's what is inside Lily.
Yeah.
From this cult, basically. So the demon that it's linked to is in relation to the word abracadabra.
Yeah, abraxas, abracadabra, yeah.
So it's about showmanship, really. So that kind of fits straight away.
Yeah. Takes an interesting turn because the conversations are happening. Carmichael obviously isn't believing any of this. And then Jack Delroy says, well, can we do it? Can we
have a demonstration?
Yeah. Lily says yes, but June says no.
She's really pushed into a corner into saying yes, because obviously it's live TV.
Yeah.
The whole studio audience is saying, yeah, we need to see it. You've got Carmichael being a complete dick. Mm-hmm. Just being so condescending against everything she's saying. Obviously, when you're a scientist, I'm guessing that anytime someone starts to doubt your work, your really hard work, you've been putting in a lot of hours for, it must really suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she's thinking eventually, you know what? Yeah, we'll do a brief demonstration for you.
Yeah. So they go, okay, great. Let's go to commercial. Let's get that set up. Mm-hmm. They cut to commercial. Gus then says, like, you shouldn't. What you're doing? This is insane.
You've just had a message come through from your dead wife.
Yeah.
And now you're doing this. Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. Then we get interesting news from the producer that Christou has passed away. He was oozing from every orifice.
Yeah, so basically, all the horrible bio we seem spewing up on the set before it cuts to commercial and he gets sent off the set. We don't see him again after that. We hear he's in an ambulance, but apparently that doesn't stop. They can't stop whatever's happening to him.
Yeah. And
he dies that way, which is really, really horrible.
Yeah. I'm glad it didn't show it.
I'm glad it didn't, because again, the studio audience wouldn't be privy to that.
Yeah. Less is more.
Yeah, I agree.
So obviously we get this tension happening backstage as well with the producers, the tech. The tech is still messing up.
Probably becoming more and more on edge.
Yeah, we've just had a theremin. What's that thing that you wave your hands on?
I don't know. Something your dad has.
Something my dad has. I think it was the instrument that the Doctor Who theme tune was played on.
Yeah, it goes out of control.
Yeah, and then there's an explanation for everything, says Carmichael. Yeah. But put your money where your mouth is.
Let's try it.
So we're back on air. It really does well with the lighting here, because it lights the spotlight set, and then Das Malchian walks to it and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to see." He does the warning stuff.
It's very Twilight Zone, isn't it?
Yeah, and I loved that.
Yeah.
I think that's where this film really hits.
Then it's like, Godspeed. And then they start the demonstration.
The demonstration goes as such. Like Lily, they're going to be putting into a trance. And Lily, she's got restraints on. She's sat in a chair. They're sat opposite each other, June and Lily. Off she goes to sleep. Head down, fine. And I thought this is where the jump scares were going to happen. Mm-hmm. There were very few jump scares, and excellent, good.
Yeah.
This possession scene. You know I'm a sucker for possession scenes.
I know, because you're weird.
It's my favourite movie of all time. That's neither here nor there.
But she falls into a sleep straight away. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as she puts her head up, even her hair has changed. Like as Lily, her hair's all straight. Yeah. And all she does is put her head down, and you kind of see everything about her body changing.
You do see her sort of contort a little bit, which was, I thought, very Evil Dead Rise.
Very Evil Dead Rise. But then her hair starts to go all...
greasy.
A bit greasy and a bit uncared for.
Yeah.
And then she puts her head up. And
you see...
All her skin's really pale and pasty.
Well, her face shape has changed.
Yeah.
Her brow is a bit more prominent. Mm-hmm. Her eyes are obviously different colours. And scarring is starting to appear on her face. Yeah. Which, no one's touched her. She was fine a minute ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand how anyone could say that wasn't real.
No, and she doesn't know where she is, so she starts panicking a little bit. The audience starts reacting. They keep having to shut them up. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, she becomes aware that Jack's in the room.
Yeah,
and even though he's not said anything and he's not in her view, straight away she's like, "He's here, isn't he?"
He's like, "Good to see you again, Jack." Uh-oh.
He's like, "Shit."
He's like, "Oh fuck." He's just sat in the shadows at the back, and then obviously it goes very paint by numbers exorcism scene wise.
Yeah.
We do get a lot of shaking noises from here, there and everywhere, and her chair levitates.
Yeah, the things she says to Jack, though, I think are the most important part in this scene, though, if you're really listening.
Yeah.
So she basically alludes to the fact that she's met Jack before.
Uh-huh.
It makes you wonder if it's the little girl that's met Jack before, or if it's the demon...
Or if it's Mr. Wriggles.
That's met before. She claims the fact that his wife was treated poorly. Mm-hmm. And what else does she say? She then says, "Oh well, you're fucking the doctor."
Yeah, you're you're with her and stuff. And the doctor slaps her.
Oh, before she slaps her, she turns to... no, she slaps her, doesn't she? Mm-hmm. She turns back to look at June, and then she says in Minnie's voice, why did you let that happen, Jack? Her nose bleeds the exact same way that Christo's did. Yeah. After he was possessed. And then, snap, she comes out of it.
Yeah. One thing I will say, that demon sounds exactly like Will Arnett.
Because it is.
What? If it came out that Will Arnett did the demon voice for this, I'd be like, yeah, I know. Anyway, we cut to commercial. And then it's like, okay, everyone's a bit...
on edge now.
Yeah, because they've just seen a possession live.
They've just seen a levitation.
Yeah. Gus goes to the producer and says, like, you've got to pull the plug now.
You've got to stop this, yeah.
People are already, like, crew are already leaving. I think some audience members do as well.
Yeah.
But, Gus is talked into staying. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Well, not really talked, he's told to stay in. You're a part of this show. The ratings are important, because if we've got no show, you're not here either. Mm-hmm. But Jack's really excited by this prospect, because we find out that actually everyone's tuning in now. At
this point, I think it's more than Carson, or it's definitely top of Sweeps week.
Yeah.
And there are some people from the studio as well in the crowd who are like, if your contract's coming up, this is how you stay in business.
Yeah, and they're wanting a meeting with him. Yeah. Already that morning. They're saying, 7 a.m. the next day, they want a meeting with you. So it's like, oh shit, this is great news.
Yeah. Obviously people are calling in as well, so it's the switchboard's lighting up. This is very good television.
Yeah.
Let's go back. So Lily's back to normal. Mm-hmm. Sat on the chair. Says like, can you explain to us what that was? And whatever. But Carmichael is a big naysayer. Mm-hmm. Explanation for everything. He comes up with these really obscure ways. I don't think I think he believes what he's seeing as well. Mm-hmm. But his job is to be the naysayer. So he comes up with these really creative ways of how these people could be lying. Yeah.
So he says, you know what, I'm going to do my own demonstration of how I think you did this. Mm-hmm. So he grabs Gus, who does not want to do this.
Poor Gus. Yeah.
Sits him on a chair, gets exactly the same conditions as Lily and June did, and attempts to hypnotise him.
Yeah.
And the studio audience.
And the studio audience and the people watching. So bear that in mind. That's a very good point.
So he does the kind of usual what you'd expect with like a clock. Make yourself feel all relaxed.
And it becomes the swirl that,
that people attribute to kind of hypnotism.
Yeah. So
then he's like, straight away clicks his fingers and is like, now you're going to be under my power.
You're in a trance.
And he's like...
Is that okay?
He's like, no, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not in a deep trance. Then straight away, Carmichael's not saying anything. He's just staying completely silent. He's just watching. Mm-hmm. And you hear really creepy, ghostly noises that Gus starts reacting to. Yeah. Then all of a sudden he's like, I'm hot.
He takes his jacket off.
Then he's taking his tie off. And then Carmichael's like, oh, you've got something on your neck. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I've cut myself shaving. And all of a sudden his neck's bleeding.
And there's like a hole in there. We've established at this point that Gus is afraid of worms. He's got wormophobia or something.
Which is odd.
Yeah, it's odd, yeah.
But then as he goes to put his hand to his cut, he pulls out these worms from his neck. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden...
He's
really freaking out. He's ripping his clothes off.
I can feel them. I can feel them inside. And then
he rips open his stomach.
Yes. This is my favourite scene of the film, I think.
And all these horrible like worms come out.
Very Annihilation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, you've got to help me, like the worms. And he's like, skin's really itchy. He's really hot.
It comes out his eye.
This giant worm just like bursts from his head. And it's a bit Scanners as well.
Yeah.
I think it's very well done. And then there's a snap, there's a click of the fingers and it doesn't quite work. And then this worms happening and stuff.
And it's like, shit, this isn't working. Like, we're made to believe almost as an audience then that this is happening.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, this isn't working. He's clearly tried to put him in a trance and something's not right.
Yeah. And then we're snapped out. Mm-hmm. And everything's okay. So we're led to believe, me and you, humans, that what we've just seen was real, but obviously everything's fine. Everyone's been put under a trance, and they said that the only way to see what everyone else had seen is to watch the tapes back.
But without being hypnotised first.
Yeah.
Just to watch it as is, and that's exactly what they do.
And it went the opposite way of what we just saw. Essentially, what really happened was Gus is hypnotised, and then he's hypnotised into believing that all this is happening to him.
So basically he will just be sat on the chair and Carmichael is actually talking to him and saying, you're hot. And he's like, yeah, I'm hot.
You can hear stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. There's worms. It's coming out of you. And it's like, oh! So he's reacting after being fed it first. But when we watched it initially, nothing. All we see is Carmichael sat there saying nothing.
Yeah.
All this is happening organically. However, something else interesting is happening in that scene.
Yeah, both of us picked up on it.
The entire time that this is happening and the audience are led to believe that worms are coming out of Gus, Lily sat laughing at it all, not quite understanding why everyone else is so horrified. She wants to know why Gus is acting so silly.
Now, I thought first time we watched it, I thought Lily was just like enjoying what she was seeing because we didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But obviously, Lily can't see that she can't be hypnotized that way. Mm-hmm. You think it's that she's seeing things through someone else's eyes?
I don't think she's Lily at that point. I think she's the demon.
She's Abraxas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why Lily's not seeing anything.
Can't be put under this spell.
No.
Yeah.
So that's why she's laughing. The Lily that is there isn't really looking through her own eyes. Mm-hmm. So that's why she's not reacting. So all she can see is this guy she's been watching acting stupid. Mm-hmm. She doesn't see the horror.
Yeah. A quick thing about costume. We said earlier that Carmichael has this mustache and a goatee, but his costume as well is very devil-esque.
Yeah, he's got this burgundy jacket on.
He said because he's had to get changed. Yeah.
It's all very, and again, kind of like, as we know, the kind of mythology and bits and pieces about the devil. He's tricking you. Mm-hmm. He's doing it. He's telling you he's doing it as well. Yeah. But people are still falling for it. He always. What does he keep saying to the audience about them being easily?
Oh, easily fooled or something.
Yeah, you're all easily fooled.
Yeah. Easily tricked, I think. Yeah.
Like, you're all easily susceptible to this. Mm-hmm. So he knows exactly what he's doing. So he's coming across as like a devil character. Yeah.
Jack then goes, well, no, Lily says, like, if you...
Make it fair.
To make it fair, yeah. If you didn't believe what happened to us before, but you believe that, you should play the earlier tape back as well.
Yeah, it's like you just played back Carmichael's to prove that the worms we saw was all because it was hypnotised.
Yeah.
Play back my tape and see if there was something dodgy with that. Mm-hmm. Was you all hypnotised as well?
Yeah. So, okay.
They play it back and it plays out exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Not quite exactly the same.
Well, initially, like as we see it as the audience see it.
Yeah.
Until we spot a couple of frames where...
It glitches. Yeah. Jack picks up on it as well. He goes, well, you just hold it there, wind it back, and then we go through it frame by frame. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting what we discover. So
it stops on a frame and we see his dead wife behind him.
Mm-hmm. Like this spirit almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like we're like a funeral shroud, just bless her, just like literally like on her deathbed, looking, just with her hand on his shoulder, looking well and truly pissed.
Then this is where stuff really ramps up though.
Yeah.
Like, I think the studio lights start shaking.
Lily starts to become possessed.
Goes into a zone again. And it's like, oh, Lily, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? Like, and she's like down. She's down for the count. But then she suddenly shoots up.
Yep.
She gets electrocuted from the TV. She's screaming.
Yeah.
Everyone's running out at this point, the studio audience. And her head
splits down the middle.
Splits open. Yeah. And this sort of power, this energy,
almost like static. It's weird, isn't it? It just comes out of her head.
Yeah. And she's... Well, like, what the fuck's going on? Gus, in his infinite wisdom, decides then to go...
Pyro Christ condemns you with something stupid like that.
Which is never going to work. He's got a little cross. You're a talk show host, not a priest. It doesn't end well for him.
No.
His head is spun the other way.
It's 360'd, yeah.
Yeah. But then it doesn't end well for anyone here. June, Lily's carer, chaperone or whatever... her necklace is strung up on her neck and she's pulled up into the air and by her chain on her neck and
it slices through her head.
Very hereditary. I love that. Jack is thrown across the studio, so he doesn't really have much to do in this. Carmichael gets it worse.
Yeah. He tries to give the check to her to say, oh yeah, I believe you, but he gets melted.
Yeah, very Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then Jack runs out of the studio. Lily, with her head split open, looks at the camera, looks at us, pulls us towards her, and we cut to black. We cut to like studio Static.
It cuts to static, and then later on in that static, we then see Jack's wife scream.
Is that who it was? I just thought it was a very demonic face.
No, I think it was Jack's wife.
Oh, okay.
Screams, and then it cuts to like...
The studio will be back soon.
Yeah, like technical issues.
Yeah. That was Abraxas kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, like, you can't bargain. All the people that meet their demise are people who have said against...
They've all challenged him.
Yeah. The Power of Christ thing is like, come on, mate, what are you doing? Head spin round. June says...
She's got the lucky eye pendant that she tries to use, and it's like, no, off you fuck.
Off you fuck. And Carmichael...
He's been taking the piss all night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
going to get it worse. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing happens to Jack. So then we get these sort of visions.
Yeah.
These all follow Jack. He comes back into the studio. And I noticed that the ratio then gets wider. It's very cinematic.
Yeah, because I don't think these are for us to see. I don't think these are ever a part of the master tapes.
I agree.
I think this is just for us as a moviegoer.
This is what we're seeing inside
his head.
He comes onto the show. It goes a bit Groundhog Day.
Yeah, so we get like a rehash of the scenes we've seen earlier of him on his talk show.
Uh-huh.
It kind of goes through almost like a memory montage almost.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you doing? I shouldn't be doing this.
I've already done all this.
But everyone's doing it exactly the same way they did it before. The moment where he did the skit with the caveman bit, and he's like, he swears, and then the woman goes, well, that's not the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all very like, you're trapped here now.
And then it gets a bit more crazy, starts seeing the hypnotism sign again.
Mm-hmm. Flashes of faces coming up as well.
Interestingly, one of the flashes of faces we saw was of Jack, and it was mirrored. So you saw one of him sat on a chair smiling, and the other one of him like mirrored, and his face was completely blank.
He was doing the Lily thing.
Yeah, it was like completely...
Yeah, expressionless,
yeah.
We got a shot of the cult leader as well.
Yeah, with his face just covered in blood, because they use the blood a lot.
Yeah.
In their sacrifices.
But then we get a really interesting... Like, it sort of calms down a little bit. And then Jack's surrounded by all these people, and they say, right, you've got to join, like, you're here now, you've got to join us.
Well, no, it stops with him, it goes back to the interview with his wife, and she changes the tune.
I always thought that, like, from the first time we saw the interview with his wife, she was quite passive-aggressive. Mm-hmm. And I thought, something there.
But yeah, so that changes its tone a little bit, and then it shows him signing his deal.
Yeah.
And you hear a reporter, even in the initial one, you hear a reporter say, what did you have to sacrifice to get here, Jack?
Oh, it's such a good film, guys. It's so great.
And then we get a clip that looks like he's in the woods.
Yeah.
With his little group.
He's surrounded by these... I assume it's the studio audience.
Yeah.
But they're all dressed up in the Halloween costumes because it's Halloween. There's like a skeleton I saw a few times. The satanic cult guy's there, and Jack has to drink from this chalice.
Yeah.
So
the owl from his Grove boys club is there.
Yeah,
they all start doing the chant that they all do.
They go, oh.
Yeah.
And then the door to the studio opens again, and it's the ward. It's where his wife... It's a deathbed, essentially.
Well, you'd assume so, but the back of the back panelling is all the studio. This is studio itself. So it's almost like her life's been broadcast.
Yeah.
For his entertainment.
It's a very good metaphor.
Yeah.
He joins her on the bed. She says, like...
Did they tell you? Did they tell you this was... You were going to be the best?
Yeah.
What did they promise you?
Was it worth it, sort of thing? She's on death's door. She doesn't look well.
Yeah.
And
makes me wonder if this is something that did happen. Because this is playing into his memories. We know that she did die. Who knows? I think this film is very ambiguous. I think you get out of it what you bring to it. Mm-hmm. It sort of leads you one way, but then you can have multiple answers. I think me and you have very different answers. I think we're both right. It is whichever you choose. I think it's a great film. But then his wife's saying, "I'm in pain. You gotta end it. Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do." And we get this sacrificial knife
that was used earlier in the set.
Yeah. And Jack drives it into his wife and kills her. But then he's screaming, and as he's screaming, it turns out that we've been tricked again.
Yeah, that he's just stabbed Lily.
Yeah. And who
looks to already be dead, to be fair.
Oh god, yeah.
But literally when it comes back to the studio as it's completely deserted by all these dead bodies, it's just Jack there, but all the people that are dead have died they're all the same way that they were killed.
Yeah.
So clearly that's happened.
Gus's head's around, stuff like that, yeah. So is it another being? Jack couldn't possibly do this himself.
Then he keeps saying, it ends with him going, dreamer awake. Dreamer awake. He thinks he's in another trance.
Yeah.
And he's trying to wake himself out of it, but he can't.
End of transmission.
Yeah, it ends.
There was a very interesting, like the writing said end of transmission, but then it said something else for a second.
Like, as it will be done or something like that.
Oh yeah, as it was told or something.
As it shall be or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And then it cuts again to end of transmission.
And that's the end of the movie. This is my favourite film so far this year.
It's so fucking clever.
It's wonderful. Everyone is on their A game, all these actors. And I hope that these actors find work elsewhere, because this is a very good jumping off point.
Yeah, and again, I hope people don't get too put off by the II conspiracy.
Yeah.
And I hope people do watch it.
If you tuned in to like the rest of this, and if you sort of listen to the first 5 minutes of this episode of the podcast, and then just thought, okay, I should probably watch that, great. If we've done our job well enough, then hopefully you do tune into this, because there's
a lot of other Easter eggs we've not mentioned in this that you might pick up yourself.
Yeah. I think even if we went again, I think we'd pick up other things.
Oh, yeah.
Not saying that we will, but I think if it came on streaming, I think we'd watch it straight away.
Well, it is coming up on streaming. It's going to be on April the 19th.
We are not sponsored. I can't get enough of this film, and it's really got under my skin.
It's just done so well. It's the fact that it's a horror movie that it can do it all without having fucking jump scares.
It's interesting that it's going up against two other horror films. I think we've just had Imaginary and we've just had Immaculate. Those are, I think one of them is Blumhouse and one of them isn't. Mm-hmm. Well, Sydney Sweeney, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think Imaginary's Blumhouse, isn't it?
Yeah. If say you're a 15-year-old and you've got 3 horror films here, I don't see why you wouldn't pick this.
I think, for me, I think at my age, I think I'm telling how I am now, I would always pick this over the other 3. So over the other 2.
Okay.
It's because everything about the trailer drew me in. I like the 70s aesthetic. I think it really works. I grew up watching my parents' horror films that they used to watch back in the 70s, which were really creepy, and so I can kind of appreciate all that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like the likes of Blumhouse, etc., they have managed to get a hold on like teen audience. They know what they're getting. They're getting a lot of jump scares. It's a bit of fun. Mm-hmm. It's a shame. I feel like some of what they're doing now, I think, is cheapening the genre even more. I think it's oversaturating it as well, because I think you know what you expect when you go into a Blumhouse. You expect a bit of exposition, then silence for a bit, and then a jump scare, and then same again. That's a pattern that repeats. It's tried and tested. It works. Mm-hmm. This is very different, and I think we've always said on this podcast, horror is the only thing keeping the box office alive. Mm-hmm. Because horror is the only one that seems to, and only genre that seems to dip its toes in different tones and themes and things like this. And they're often done on the cheap as well. It's interesting as well, because this is a Shudder. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting it's got a cinematic release, because it's a streaming service. Mm-hmm. I think this is one of their first ones. I don't know. I don't think Skinamarink got a cinematic release. It did in America. I did? Oh, okay. Do you see Shudder doing this more often now? I'd like to, because obviously the likes of Netflix have started doing that. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see Shudder doing more. I mean, is Shudder connected to Amazon? Yeah, it is. So I'd like to, obviously Amazon are pushing some of their stuff now as well. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see them putting more of their horror stuff out. I mean, I like some of the Shudder original series that they brought out. Yeah. I think they're quite clever. A lot of the stories are very different. I want to see different horror movies. I don't want to see the same old churned out Blumhouse stuff. I mean, to be fair to Blumhouse, they've got some great franchises under their belt. Mm-hmm. They've got the likes of Paranormal Activity, Insidious, The Conjuring. Some of this has ended up looking a bit stupid now, as they've just churned out more and more sequels, mm-hmm. which is also, sadly, what happens to horror too. Because they're so cheap and they make money. If people like them, they're just going to keep banging out sequel after sequel.
There's occasionally a gem like this. It's happening to Smile. Smile's getting a sequel, but this is Smile really grabbed my attention. Mm-hmm. I thought Smile was a perfect movie. This is as well.
I like this as well. I don't think this is going to be anywhere near as big. I'm hoping that because it's getting more word of mouth now, people will watch it. Mm-hmm. I think it's straight jump to streaming's going to be what helps it a lot more.
I'm going to track see what it does on streaming, because if it does do well, that's marvellous news. If it does poorly, then I think this is a cult classic in the making.
Yeah.
It does have a timeless feel to it, whereas films like Conjuring and Paranormal Activity don't.
Yeah.
So it's going to find its audience somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether that's the near future or the far future, I don't know.
But I said she was leaving. We need more people seeing movies like this. Mm-hmm. And not just the same old laziness. Because again, I've gone in at the superhero genre for it. I think horror's also become just as bad now, where we've got the same trope over and over again trying to take over from lazy writing.
Do you think it's a certificate thing? This is a 15, mm-hmm. Which is like R-rated for in America. That lends itself to a little bit more of a wider audience, but that wider audience has already seen a horror film this month with its pockets money.
Yeah, and also, unless you've got a lot of gore being promised to the audience, mm-hmm. or you've got a lot of nudity, or it's something that's really going to push it.
Yeah.
Usually it's something like a really forced ghost story or something like that. Are people that bothered on a slow burn like this?
Nah, they want...
We're saying we know what audience we're talking about. We're talking about the great teen audience, yeah.
Were we like that when we were kids, seeing stuff like this?
Oh, yeah. I was, just because I was brought up that way.
Yeah.
But my friends, I remember us all going to see Drag Me to Hell.
Films like that find an audience as well, though, and
yeah.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, like I said, I hope more people see this, because we've been to see this twice now, and there hasn't been anybody really that's looked like they're in their 20s there.
No. I couldn't really overhear what some of the other people in our viewings were saying. I think some of them said they didn't really like it, but then we came out saying that's
we love it, yeah.
That's the best one.
A lot of the bad stuff I've seen about it have been people judging it purely for its use of AI.
Yeah. I think people are judging it on its AI without seeing the film. I think you have to still see the film. It's a wonderful story, well told. Its use of AI, it uses AI, and that's controversial. But it's not... The AI stuff shouldn't be the forefront.
No, it's not worth boycotting the film for. I mean, wasn't there not long ago, it wasn't last year, I think it was the year before, there's the Lindsay Lohan Christmas film that everybody watched on Netflix. There was an AI-generated kiss at the end of that film.
Right.
Where Lindsay Lohan didn't kiss the male actor. It was all done via CGI or AI, etc. Which I think is a bit weird.
Yeah.
But people still came out and watched that. It didn't get the crap that this is getting now.
Mm-hmm. I think Hollywood is leaning more towards AI anyway. I think most of us will have to just get over it and deal with it. But for an independent film that's made on not much money, that only got its lead actor because he wrote a thing for Fangoria, and it just so happened to be about the same thing.
Yeah.
Das Malchian, he might be a cheap actor compared to Chalamet.
Yeah, I think he produced it as well.
Yeah, he commits. I think it's worth it for that performance alone.
I agree.
Better than Space Jam?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Guys, we can't stress enough that you need to see this film. If you see it in the cinemas, please do, but that's great. If you see it on streaming, that's fine.
Just give it some love.
Give it some love, because we loved it. This might be some Golden Biscuit winners.
Maybe, who knows? The year is still young.
I'm just going to pencil in Das Malchian. But we'll see how we go.
No worries.
Okay. Thanks for talking to me about this one, because I knew... Well, you knew that I would want to.
I knew immediately, as it was halfway through the first screening we went to see, I thought James is going to love this. I bet he's loving this. Then after the film, you just sat in silence. You were like, I love that.
Yeah.
Then as we left, I said, do you want to go watch it again? You were like, yeah, maybe in a few days. Then straight away this morning, you were like, yeah, I want to see it again.
It stays with you, though. It's got staying power.
I told you, I know you better than you know you.
That is true. But tune in later this week, because we've got Solo. Yay! We can't just keep reviewing good movies.
Can't you just do that Solo?
No.
Ah! I thought I'd try.
You're the Chewie to my Solo.
I don't want to be the Chewie.
That's all I heard.
Wow.
But see you then, guys. Thank you so much for recording this one with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.